So hi folks, as promised, here is the hopefully relatively short recording where I walk you through the class, talk about the syllabus, get you oriented to the requirements, so you have a good idea of what's going to be going on this quarter and what my expectations for you are. So I'm looking at our Canvas classroom here. If you're watching this, I'm assuming you found the Panopto recordings links page. Daily lectures will appear there, as well as some supplemental lecture material that I'll make available. So you might have noticed this in class when I put it up and showed it earlier today. Excuse me. This recording that I'm making right now will appear eventually in here. It may show that it's happening right now. It is. Here's today's lecture already showing, which is great. And then underneath here, I mentioned that I've been reorganizing this course for the last year or so, and I'm including some more interesting readings with discussions around them, and so I've had to move lecture content out of the way. And rather than abandon it entirely, I am asking students to watch that material online if they want to. So you'll see 3 short History of Behavioral Neuroscience lectures appearing here as well that I made last fall when I started doing this. So they're appearing as well. So anyway, that's a little bit about Panopto. The next place to go, if you haven't already in the course, is to the Files page. And the Files page has a bunch of documents for the quarter there. And the thing that's probably most useful for this little demonstration that I'm doing is to call up a copy of the syllabus. So you should see a 202 Syllabus Fall 2016 PDF document, and you can click on that. And after it appears, you can download it, and then you'd be looking at something like this. So contact information up there at the top. Ways to reach me. Email's fine. One suggestion I have, though, if you don't mind accessing me in a slightly different way, back here in Canvas on the extreme left-hand side of the page, usually just inside the left are kind of course menu options that your instructor set up, but then these ones in green on the outside there, they're present for all your courses. Canvas is a really nice messaging feature that you can click on by getting that inbox icon. And you can reach out to me and send me messages that way. And I really like how Canvas keeps track of my communications with students. So if you don't care one way or the other, I'd prefer you use this. If you'd rather use email, that's fine. I check email as well and will reply to you that way too. So that's a little bit about contacting me. If you need to see me face-to-face, my office hours are listed there on the right. They are Mondays and Wednesdays in the morning, starting at 9 or 9:30 depending on the day, and going till 10:20. And then I teach from 10:30 to 12:20. Teach 2 classes back to back, and then on Tuesdays and Thursdays I'll have office hours right after our class. I don't know if it will stay the same. Sometimes courses move around. But at least on Wednesdays, we don't appear to have a class meeting right after ours, which would give me a little bit of extra time to hang out and answer students' questions or address whatever concerns come up for those who want to stay a little bit late. So that might be something we can take advantage of. Okay, so that's a little bit about contact information. Scrolling down a little bit, here's the book we're using. Actually, I don't have a hard copy of the book to show you. I've requested a hard copy from the publisher several times, but they've never sent me one. So I make do with a digital one that I have that I read on my iPad. But it's Foundations of Behavioral Neuroscience by Neil Carlson. I've been using it for a number of years. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. And in terms of purchasing options, I went over these in class. You're welcome to choose the option that seems to fit you best. So through the SEC/UW bookstore, I have placed an order for a loose leaf copy of the book, and included with that loose leaf copy is an access code for something called My Psyc Lab, which is an online suite of quizzes and videos and resources that are really nice, but they are optional for the course, so you don't need them. So what that would mean is if you decide to or find the book elsewhere to purchase, and it doesn't include my Psych Lab, that's not a problem, because there's nothing required going on in my Psych Lab. There are nice resources there, but there's nothing that you have to have for our class. Speaking of my Psych Lab, though, it is possible the publisher will sell it to you. They'll just sell you my Psych Lab access. So on the syllabus, if you click on Pearson, this underlined hyperlink in kind of the middle there underneath the SCC bookstore link, if you click on that, it should take you to a page that would let you buy my Psych Lab access for the quarter. You pay differing amounts depending on how long you want to rent it. And you can save yourself a bit of money if you don't mind going digital. So all those resources that I talked about are in there, plus an ebook, a digital version of our text that you can read there as well. For the My Psych Lab possibility, the option, there's a course ID you need to kind of sign up for my version of the class. It's not essential that you have it, but it makes sense to do it. And it's listed right here on the syllabus. It's Christensen 96774. Excuse me, 96774. And that allows you to choose my class, and then I'll see the work you're doing. And again, there's nothing required in there, but I think it makes the registration process easier. So that's a little bit about the textbook and contacting me. For the rest of this, I'm going to jump down to the calendar because it helps me remember to touch all the bases that I need to go over for the class. You have a version of this, same version actually, on the mini syllabus that I handed out in class earlier today, the short one. So where to begin? Main way that I'll evaluate you this quarter is through exams. And excuse me, the way the exams will work this quarter, those of you who've had me before will recognize this. The exams typically take place over 2 days. The first day is like what you're probably used to for an average test, where it's closed book, closed notes. My exams are a combination of question types. I have some multiple choice questions. I have some true-false questions. I have some definition questions. And then short answer, short essay. I ask a lot of questions where maybe you write like a half a page or less of information. Sometimes you can answer those kinds of questions with bullet points or pictures, but short answer is what I'm describing there. And that's what you'll take and complete on the first day of the test. You'll need a Scantron for that day, the thin green sheets that look like this. You'll need, let's see, for the quarter, you'll need 9. So to do all the tests plus the optional final, if you want to take that on, you'll need 9 of those. So for the first day, part 1 of the exam, it's again closed book, closed notes, show me what you know. Part 2, second day, is a collaborative, cooperative section of the test. And here's how it works. I hand the test back. The written portion of it will be graded. You'll see your score on that. But the goal of part 2 is to redo the multiple choice and the true-false questions again. And this time on part 2, you get to use your book, use your notes, and you get to work together. So don't do this on part 1, but for part 2, you can actually ask somebody, hey, what'd you get for question 1? I put D, what do you think? And you talk about the answers, you discuss them, you look them up. And for this second day, you're vying for 2 more points on the exam. And you can get those points if you get 100% as you re-answer those questions the second time. And if you get 100%, I give you maximum credit plus a bonus point. So you actually get 3 points. Some students actually manage to get over 100% on this test by doing that. If you miss 1 question, you get full credit. You get 2 out of 2. And then if you miss 2 or more questions on the part 2 day, you get just 1 point for trying. You get an effort point. Okay. So the first day of the exam, I don't think I said this, is worth 48 points. The second day is worth 2. Combined, they're worth 50. 2 points may not sound like much, but in my class, I mean, if you skip them, If you missed out on those 3 points, that could potentially move your grade on the test from like a 3.0 to a 3.6. So there's oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes there's a 0.6 difference in GPA on an individual test if 3 points are at stake. So I will encourage you not to treat those second days lightly. They matter. And many students enjoy them, and from my perspective, they're often very useful because students can learn better late than never material that they maybe didn't know the day before. They get some feedback on how they did, and maybe learn things better late than never. So the way the exams work in this quarter, in this class, is there's 4 of them. They're about every 2.5 weeks. So the first exam here looks like it's October 10th. Exam 2 begins on October 26th. Exam 3 looks like November 15th. And then exam 4, at least the first part of it, will take place on the last regular day of the quarter for lecture, which is December 2nd. Part 2 of exam 4 will take place during our final slot, and maybe I'll say more about that when we get to the final. So that's a little bit about exams. At the end of the quarter, if I share and post student grade estimates in Canvas throughout the quarter so that students know how they're doing. I'll post another grade estimate after the first part of exam 4 is completed. If you see the grade that's posted at that point and you're happy with it, then you could be done with the course. The final in this class is optional. You don't have to take it. It's there as a chance to try to improve your grade if you want to. But if the rest of the course before then has gone well and you see the grade estimate that comes after exam 4 and you're okay with it, then you're done. You start your winter break early, or you focus on your other classes, or whatever you want to do. If, however, you want to try the optional final, here's how it works. You'll take 4 regular exams with me during the regular quarter. Whichever of those 4 exams has the lowest score, you're going to try to beat that score when you take the optional final. So the final's worth 50 points. Sorry, I think the exams are worth 52 now that I talk about it. I think I'm misspeaking. I think it's 50 points plus 2 points. I have another class where I scale the points differently, but I think it's 52 points. So anyway, the final's worth 52, the exams are worth 52. Let's say, I don't know, exam 2 you bombed, you got a 25 on it. If you take the final and say you get a 35, I will swap you scores. I will take your final score and replace your poor exam 2 score with it, and your grade will improve in that case by 10 points. It's by however many points you improve over your lowest regular exam score. Students sometimes ask what happens if I do worse on the final. Does that hurt you? Fortunately in this class it doesn't. The final is a free chance to try to improve, and it can never hurt you. If you bomb the final, then nothing happens to your grade. It just stays where it is, and I throw the score out. What is challenging about the final is it's covering all 12 weeks of the quarter, and there is no special study guide for the final other than the study guides for the individual exams that you'll have already studied for. So that's the challenging aspect of it. So that's a little bit on the exams. Chapter quizzes and just quizzes in general. So there's a syllabus quiz due on Thursday night. That one tests your knowledge of the syllabus that I'm basically going over here right now. Many of the questions that are posed in that quiz, you're getting answers to them as you watch this. But there's some other quizzes that are in this class as well. For every chapter of our textbook that I assign, there'll be a quiz that goes with that chapter. So for instance, if you look on the modules page of Canvas, modules are these little folders that Canvas makes possible, and I've presented them by week, organized them by week. And so here, starting next week on the 27th, there's a chapter 1 quiz that's due. And when you click on it, you will get to a different page than this. This is the instructor page, since I am able to kind of influence and create and change this content. But in here, you get a number of times to take this test. I believe this is incorrect. I think it should be 3 times. I'm going to double check this after I make the recording and change the language if I do. You get several attempts to try to change or to take the quiz. Each time you take it, you will see your score for the quiz, but you won't get feedback yet over what you got right and what you got wrong. And the goal is to earn the highest score you can in those multiple attempts. And then each of those, in terms of how they're scored, are listed here. If you get 100% on the quiz, you get a 3.5 out of 3. I give you a half a bonus point. If you're over 90% on the quiz, you get full credit. If you're at 60%, you get 2/3 credit. And if you're less than 60, you get 1/3 credit. So the quizzes are worth 3 points. You can get a fractional bonus point if you ace them. Otherwise, you can get varying amounts of points depending on how much work you put into them. So anyway, that's a little bit about the quizzes. They are due typically, let's take a look back here at the syllabus. They're typically due on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay. All right. Yeah, so that's a little bit about the quizzes. Over here, reaction papers. Let's talk about those. This would be good. I haven't checked these links yet, so I need to make sure that they're working. So we'll go here, and we'll come back home. All right. So there are a number of articles that I found that touch upon what I hope are some interesting neuroscience-related topics. And what I'm going to ask students to do is to, one, read the article. They're typically available through the Shoreline database, although sometimes they're just simple websites. And then you write a short reaction where you share your thoughts on the article. So here's the first one, reaction paper number 1. It's talking about a phenomenon known as synesthesia, which relates to people whose senses blend together in a rather remarkable and mystifying way. And so there's instructions here for what to address in this reaction. And to find the article to read, there's usually a hyperlink at the top. So let's check and make sure the first one works. There it is, hearing colors, tasting shapes, and there's the article. You can actually have it read to you if you want. You can choose your accents if you're into that kind of thing. I think you'd be better off reading it, but it's up to you. And then after you've read the article, what you'll do here is you'll submit, either as a file upload or as a little text box submission in Canvas, you'll submit your written reaction to what you've read. These are typically due, as the calendar shows, on Mondays before midnight, 11:59 to be exact. And what we'll do on Tuesdays, typically, not always, but typically, we will carve out some time to hold a little discussion in class about the article and get people's sense of what they thought. So that's those reaction papers. If memory serves, there's 9 of them. We can see that. I think I let you skip one of them without penalty. But if you choose to do the 9th, the extra one, then the points from that count as bonus points at the end of the quarter. So if you only do 8, you could get maximum credit for that part of the class, but you can earn some extra points if you do them all. All right, so we've done exams, we've done the final, we've done the reaction paper, we've done the chapter quizzes. I think the last thing to talk about is the research paper. Research paper is due at the end of the 4th week, so it looks like October 14th. And with this assignment, what you're asked to do is to pick some topic that relates to behavioral neuroscience. If you thumb through our book, if you look at the syllabus content outline, hopefully you have some sense that there's quite a wide range of things that could be addressed. I mean, really any area of psychology that you've heard of that is also addressing some aspect of something biological, looking at genes, neurotransmitters, brain structures, brain images, any of that would be an appropriate topic for this paper. And what I ask students to do is, 1, find 3 academic journal articles that all touch upon that topic. Be careful to avoid web pages. I'm not wanting students to do magazines or newspaper articles or things like that. I want academic articles that come from journals. And if you're not sure how to go about finding something like that, talk to me. I can help you. You can also reach out to the librarians too. They will be happy to assist in that regard as well. So you find 3 articles, but then for the assignment, what you're asked to do is you pick one of the 3 and you write a brief summary of it in your own words, maybe a page, double-spaced. And then for the rest of your paper, I'm looking for a response, a reaction to what you read, similar to what you're doing in the weekly response papers that you're doing on Mondays. And you're welcome to address all 3 articles in your paper if you want, but the requirement is that you only have to address one of them. I'm wanting students to focus on their research article summarizing skills for a single article, and to learn some of the skills that are on the road to doing a full-fledged research paper that you might do in like a 300 or 400 level course. So the entire paper, I'm looking for about 3 pages double-spaced of written text, plus in APA format at the end, give me your references from your article that you find. Okay? Additional instructions, if you want to read them instead of listening to me about that, if you go to the files page, you can do this, I think. Files page, look for research paper. So here's a document that describes what I've just gone over verbally in more detail. Okay? All right. I think that's about it. Other things to note in the syllabus here. I don't know how useful students find this, but what I've done is created sort of the things that need to be done in this class in the form of kind of a checklist, like read a chapter, submit a paper, read an article, things like that. You're welcome to experiment with these and use them to keep track and manage your time. Other things you might want to look at, this is relevant for the syllabus quiz 2, my grading scale is in the middle of the syllabus. I've always graded on a percentage scale. If you earn a certain percentage, it translates to a certain grade. And so you can see that there. You can see it takes 96% to get a 4.0, 83% to get a 3.0, and so forth. To get a grade in the class, you've got to get to at least 60% this quarter. Hopefully you're aiming higher than that. And so that's a little bit about that. And I think that's it. So if you have other questions about the course, about the syllabus, reach out to me. Reach out to me digitally in email or the messaging system in Canvas. Talk to me before or after class. Stop by during an office hour. Any of that is all good. So thanks, and I'll see you back in class soon. All right, take care.